Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Matt Forrester, Silver Halo Charters and Joker Jigs and Lures. So I skip a Silver Halo out of Torquay. I run small group charters for up to 4 people, and I specialise in slow pitch jigging and lure fishing and so on. I've also been part of the chart tuna tagging program for the first and final year, and hopefully we'll be out catching them again from August this year. So I've been doing quite a few videos with the Palmarius P+ jigging rod, which is this one. It's a one piece 6'6" long, and I've been using mostly the Power 1 and 2 on our offshore wrecks. I've got a Power 0 and a Power 3 as well. Power 0 I've started using, but I'll be using it a lot more in the summer because we'll be coming in shore fishing the bass wrecks, so that's rated 25 gram to 100 gram. I've also got these new L series rods to test. I'm going to do a comparison today. It's the L series. That's a 2-piece rod. It's longer than the P+. That's what the L's for, the longer version. Same sort of action, but it's a 2-piece and it's 7'2". So we've got the handle section, makes it easier to transport. It's less than 6 foot long, so it'll fit in a tube nicely. It's cheaper to travel with, and it's a nice option. It'll be a bit longer, so it'll be good for the long lifts and falls, and it'll be also quite handy for controlling bass around the boat. The extra length will give you a little bit more control around the boat. Most jigging rods, you know, they're bent right over, so they become very short. Bass often full of energy when they get to the boat, so could be quite useful for that. So I'll give the Power 1 and 2 a go today. I've got the Power 1 P+ as well beside me, so I'll be able to get a good comparison between the two. I can already think of a few pros and cons, you know, but we'll go through that through the day. I'll fish with them and see how we get on. They're a beautiful rod. I'll unpack one now actually, you can have a look at it. So they all come with a nice neoprene rod sock. There's the butt section. It's all nice Fuji fittings. So I haven't used these yet, they're brand new. So the Power 1's got the white band, and it's PE 1 to 2, 15 to 30 pound test. Lures 100 to 300. So 300 is always going to max it out a little bit. I'd say, you know, sort of 100 gram up to sort of 200 gram is probably the sweeter area. It will handle the bigger jigs, but it will be well loading the rod. So the Power 1 today, I'll be using like 150 to 170 gram jigs on this one. So it's a spiral wrapped or acid wrapped rod. So first eye is in line with the overhead reel. The second one goes slightly to the right, and then they actually go to the left all the way around to the underside of the rod. So it's a bit weird to look at. It's like there's been a mistake made, but apparently it helps the line lay onto the spool, and also it alleviates rod twist. And of course, once you've got the eyes on the underside, you're less likely to get line snagging on the top of the rod. When you're fishing with slow pitch jigs, you're using very thin, fine braids, so often the breeze will blow the braid back on top of the rod as you're lowering it, and if you've got the eyes on the underside, the line can slide off the top of the rod. You want to avoid it because it can still snag, but that's part of the reasoning behind it. The other thing is the rods are bent over so far, if the eyes are on the underside, they're pulling away from the rod, they're not pushing the rod down, and they're not going to rub on the rod either. So there is some science behind it, although it looks a bit strange. You soon get used to it. So 2-piece rod. Just eye it up with the first eye. Now, it's not overly long, but it's about 8 inches longer than the 6.6. So it'll give a slightly different action, give you a little bit more control around the boat, and I'll give them a comparison today. Go out and do some jigging, just do a short day, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, so this is going to be the first drift of the day. Got a northerly wind, so we're getting pushed southerly, in the southerly direction slightly. The tide's just turned and it's going to ebb in the southwest direction, so it's going to be slightly across the tide, and the jig's going to go away a bit. I'm in 54 metres beside the wreck, and it's a tall, snaggy wreck, so I want to keep the jigs light because there are some bass possibly in the area now. There's also some nice pollock around, so it could be a nice mixture. So that's the Palmarius SPJ Plus 130 gram slammer, and that's the black matte colour, hooks on both ends and a swivel on the top. So it's 54 metres beside the wreck. We'll see what colour I'm on. It's just gone to the pink, so it's blue. The one end of the wreck's 8 metres tall, and the other end's more like 13. So as it's snaggy, I can keep an eye on my colours here. I know all the blues out to be on the seabed. And we're not even going to go on the structure this drift, it'll just be along the side. The jig's gone away, I've now gone a few metres into the pink. With a shorter rod, it's harder to deal with when it's further away. You don't really want that angle anyway, but it's more noticeable with the short rod. That's all the pink out now, so I'm basically 10 metres further out than I was to start with. I'm going to bring it right up. Too far away. So that first drift was with the P Plus, the 6'6" one piece power one. This is the L series, 2-piece, 7'2", and I've got the same jig but it's a different colour. It's the Joker Slammer in the pink glow. this rod's basically 6 inches longer than the other one. I can do my maths. 8 inches longer, sorry. So the other one's got 25-pound braid on it, this one's got 20-pound braid on it. Everything else is exactly the same, it's just a little bit longer, 2-piece, same action, we expect anyway. But as it's longer, I'll get more lift and there'll be a little bit more control around the boat when you're fishing with bass. Straight in. He's come off. No, he hasn't. That's something small on there. Don't know if you can see it in the camera there, but first eye's in line with the reel, second one goes to the right, and then the rest go to the left, the next 3 go to the left, and then you're underneath the rod. What this one's been doing is setting the line central to that one, and you see the line lay there. I've not needed to thumb that at all, it's come bang in on the middle of the spool. It's quite interesting. Do another drift, yeah? Exactly the same line of drift as last time, but just a few metres outside the wreck again to start. And we're going to just get closer to it and then off the stern of the wreck. Push on. There's 2 takes this drift. And that's another one. I was really lucky because the line was caught around the rod for a second and I just managed to get it off before this one took on. Really nice rod. Just going to bring it up a little bit slower because it's a nice fish, but if there's a pollock I want to put it back really. I'm not out here to fill the box. coming up a long way from the boat. It's a big fish. He's gone back down. I just took my time for the last 20 metres and it gives it a chance to decompress a little bit. You'll notice in my videos I'm pretty careful with how I get the fish out of the water and where I put my rod. I'm always putting it in the holder, and I leave a lot of line. See, a lot of anglers, they wind all the way down to their jig like this and they got a fish on there, and then they're trying to pull the rod in. The rod's bent over, they've got no line. You're going to end up breaking your rod like that. I let the fish come up and then I'll stow the rod somewhere safe, and then I grab the line. You know, even if you've got 4 or 5 metres of line, you can just bring the fish in, deal with it, and then there's no danger of snapping the end of the rod off, because they are fragile rods. They've got a high carbon content. They're designed for jigging, working the jig. They're not designed for fighting fish, lying around on the boat. You don't want it sliding up and down the rails because the eyes will just break off, you know. You might just scratch it and it could snap another time. You might not know about it at the time, but then later you'll have a big fish, bang, it goes. So always take good care of your jigging rods. Verdict for this one so far, it's the L1. It's a lovely bit of kit. I'll keep that playing, I'll go around for another drift.